You guys already know what it is. It's a new week. We got G_Focus on the mic. I have my lovely co-host Steph.net in the building.
What's good?
What's good with y'all? What's good with y'all? So, man, look, it's Friday. Well, it's Friday for us.
Right.
It's going to be Monday
It's Monday
for
for
y'all. But either way, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and pull up one time. I can't show you what I'm pulling up, but we're going to pull up one time.
For the one time.
All right. Had to get my drink pulled. If it's Monday, hopefully y'all drinking with me, you know what I'm saying? We want to welcome all y'all to the Reverb Experiment podcast, where we talk about black culture and try to advance the culture as much as possible. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We are going to talk about 50 Cent and his strained relationship with his son Marquise. We're going to talk about Jonathan Majors, who is in trouble on TikTok for his white baby mama. We're going to talk about Nore and his decision to bring Ye on his Drink Champs podcast. We're also going to talk about Candace Owens, and we're going to talk about the new album from Babyface, Girls Night Out. Now, if you guys are listening, if you guys like what we are doing, please, please, please donate. Donate your time, donate your love by leaving reviews, by liking, by sharing, and by please helping us get to 1,000 subscribers on Facebook, please.
Donations.
On YouTube. He lying.
YouTube.
Donations. Gifts.
We need gifts.
Gifts.
Donations. Please. I'm sorry. YouTube. That's the best way. And also leaving reviews on Apple Podcasts so that way people can help find our podcast. Now, we are doing this on our own. We are 100% black owned. It is me, Steph, and our lovely spouses and families that's helping us behind us. So if you can help us grow, we would appreciate it. And that is the best way to do that. So we appreciate y'all, though. I appreciate those that have been listening. There's people that came up to me that's listening. I didn't know they was listening.
Right. I
I'm
be getting
like-
that all the time. Like, okay. I appreciate the people that be sending like the suggestions. Y'all should talk about this. Have you seen this? I really appreciate that. Like it goes a long way just to know that you invested in support.
Facts.
Any way that you support, I'll take it.
Facts. And we would love monetary donations, but as of right now, your time and your love is all that we are asking for as of right now. So we appreciate y'all. I just want to because if it wasn't for people listening, and let me be honest, there's a guest that we're gonna have next show that says she's been listening since the beginning, and I felt a little down, like, man, like I kind of like in kind of a rut where I kind of wanted to like ease up a little bit, and just hearing those comments just kind of keep you going, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because you look at the numbers sometimes, you like, man, like I wish he was here. I wish we were hitting this milestone, but to see that we're impacting people in some shape, form, or fashion gives me the drive to keep going. So
Absolutely.
we are going to go ahead and get into the pod. I am going to I want to start off talking about 50 Cent, man. Because as a father, it kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit. And I can see both sides of the argument. But I just want to and we ain't going to talk about it long, but I think we do need to touch on it because there's a lot of strained relationships when it comes to sons and fathers, kids and parents, especially when it comes to child support and things like that.
Especially when once kids get of age too, because he's older. So
he is older.
I feel like once kids get of age and can give they 2 cents and how they felt about how they was raised or whatever, I feel like sometimes it can get a little bit sticky.
Yes.
You know? So I don't know.
So for those that don't know, as of the last maybe week or two, 50 Cent and Marquise have been going back and forth. I think it really kind of ramped up when Marquise was on, I think it was on Instagram or Twitter, where he said that $6,700 a month was not enough for him to live. And I'm still trying to figure out at 25 why you're still getting child support.
That's the thing too. Like you really could be getting nothing.
Yeah. But anyway, to kind of give you guys a rundown, he's saying that he's not getting enough. The internet kind of clapped back and said, dog, you a grown man. You shouldn't be getting anything. You know what I mean? And 50 Cent has kind of been going back and forth, posting, trolling his own son.
His own son.
And then it got to a point where Marquise said, if you guys think $6,700 is a lot of money, I will pay him $6,700 just to come see me. And, some people thought he was capping. Some people thought he was just trying to just get back on people's good graces. Bottom line is there's a severed relationship.
Mm-hmm. It has been severed.
And it's been severed. And the bottom line is as a father, I would like to see them reconcile.
Absolutely.
But there were some things in the past that made it difficult for that to happen. Like, I know that Marquise took a picture with the son of Supreme Griffin,
who tried to kill him,
which is the gentleman that was involved in trying to get 50 Cent killed. Mm-hmm. So, and for the people that are from the streets, they will tell you that that's inexcusable. That you cannot forgive that. Mm-hmm. For your son to stand next to the son of your enemy that tried to kill you and get you shot 9 times. So I want to check what you at. Where do you stand in this conversation? I don't even want to even call it beef, because it's not beef. It's a strained father-son relationship.
Yeah, what they call it, estranged from your
estranged from your your parent. That would be the term.
I feel like for me, I'm always for reconciling relationships if you can. But I'm also the type of person that's not against severing relationships if it's necessary, no matter who it is. Like I say that all the time. I don't care who it is. I don't have any kids though. Mm-hmm. But I always say, like, I don't care, mama, daddy, whatever. If it comes down to it, if it's toxic or if it's not beneficial, then I'm gonna cut that tie. But I feel like as the parent, I feel like it is your place, like you said, to be the bigger person in reconciling the relationship.
Yeah. I kind of go back and forth with this because 50 was paying more than what he should in child support.
Before the $6,700 came along.
Before the baby mother or Marquise's mother, let me try to be respectful. Before she took him to court asking for more. Mm-hmm. And then the judge reduced it to $6,700.
Before she was getting $20K.
Before, I believe it was $20K. I think it might have been more than that.
It might have been.
I think total she was getting like $500,000 a year. I think, and again, don't quote us on this. This is alleged. I don't have the figures in front of me. Bottom line is she ended up getting less. Mm-hmm. That she thought she was entitled to more. She ended up getting less. So I feel like we don't talk about this conversation very much, where if there's a severed relationship between the father and the mother, that a lot of times on both sides, that if one is vengeful, that they usually will try to use the child as a pawn to take out any kind of ill feelings on the other parent.
I've seen some dads say, you know what, forget it, I'll just have a relationship with them once they get older. I've seen that.
Yeah. I've seen that too.
I don't know how I feel about that though.
I think I've seen situations where the other parent made it so difficult that I understood. And it sucks, but I've seen people be so spiteful.
Oh, yeah.
That it just makes it hell for you to even try to see your child.
I've seen people in that situation that had to spend a lot of time and a lot of money that they did not have to get their visitation together. And honestly, I respect them for that, because like you said, a lot of people would just be like, forget it, I'll just see you when you get older. Like, I think I would be one of the ones, I'm gonna have to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, I just as a dad, and just I have a different perspective, I would do anything.
That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would do anything to see my kids and make sure that they know that I tried to fight for them.
Absolutely.
Because later on, you're going to have the conversation like, why did you not try? Mm-hmm. And even if you like, well, because your mother made it hard for me, they're still going to be like, but still, like, you didn't call, you didn't text, you didn't come to prom, you didn't see my first football game, you didn't see this, you didn't see that, you didn't see my school projects, like father-daughter dances, like, you missing too much. And it's like, is it worth it? Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that's really what I kind of want to, man, like, I wish I could talk to 50, but at the same time, getting shot 9 times changes you.
Yeah,
I can't speak on that experience, but I can only imagine you having to deal with that and then seeing your son next to the son of the man that that put the hit out on you. Like, that got to make you feel some kind of way. And especially when you were going over and above by paying more than what you should have with your child support. So,
and I think when that happened, they've been having issues though.
Yeah.
So
sure.
it wasn't necessarily like it was coming from a spiteful place.
It's not new. This has been ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just like, man, like where I just wish in this situation that the mother realizes the part that she played in this, because she obviously planted the seed.
Absolutely.
And I don't like blaming, like, you know, I know that there's a thing that we like to blame single mothers for everything, but in this situation, yeah, he wouldn't have had a sense of entitlement unless you would have put it there. And the fact that you try to take him to court to get more money shows me that you felt like, I guess that's a question. Like, in these situations, why do women feel entitled to the man's money?
I don't know. Like, if you getting 20,000,
like
what? Like what? To me, like what? Like, unless you're looking at the lifestyle that he's living, and you like, well, I'm only getting 20,000, ma'am.
Right.
What are you supposed to like?
What are you? I'm saying that whole idea to me is kind of crazy. Like, just because we had a child together, I'm entitled to your income for 18 years above and beyond what it is to take care of your child.
That's the key word, above and beyond what it takes to take care of your child. I think that's the part that people miss out on when it comes to celebrities, is that it's kind of like, well, you got it, so you should be taking care of the mama on the same level that you would if y'all was together.
Yeah. Because are you not working? I mean, if you getting $50K a month or whatever it was she was getting, I would assume not.
If I was getting $20K a month, I
Bruh.
can't even lie. That's like I'm going to be
and
at a 9 to 5.
Old boy talking about $6,700. I know he's in New York. So
yes.
I can't speak on, but if it's anything like it is in California, I get it. But dog, $6,700 a month, and I don't think he got to pay taxes on it. That's like what? That's like 72?
Well, even if you're getting that, like if you were getting that and then still doing so, obviously you must not be doing nothing else.
Well, let's round it up. Let's just say it's an even 7. Dog, that's 84 grand. And who said you got to live in New York?
And who's saying you can't work?
Bruh, and you 25.
You got the end, like you have the money and the capital to do something. Do something with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get where he's coming from as far as like the relationship being fractured or whatever, but at the end of the day, like as far as like what you are owed, the relationship is fractured and you still getting that at 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though that y'all don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he is entitled. I will say that, but I understand that part of that does come from the hurt, and it's like, but we gotta stop, man. We put such a emphasis on money, and I remember growing up with one of my friends where his dad wasn't present, and like somebody in my circle was like, "Man, you lucky that you get money. Like you getting all this money because he had Jordans, he had like everything that a kid would want. He had it." And he was like, yeah, my dad buys it for me. He gets me this, he gets me that. And then like one day, like, you know, the kid was like, man, you hella lucky. And he was like, well, really, like, I just want my dad. And he was like, I would give up all this just to have my dad like there. Like, so, but men do that a lot. Like we replace our presence with a present. And you can't buy nobody's love.
I mean, I think we already saw that with how most men responded to Nick Cannon having a million kids and saying if he could afford it. It's like, okay, but can he be present? Like, y'all just skipping over that. So we know that a lot of men feel more so that, like, as long as you can provide monetarily, then that's like the main thing that matters.
That's not your job, bro. That's not your sole job.
That's not your sole purpose.
That's not your sole purpose. Yes, providing is part of your masculinity, whatever you want to call it, but you being there, your presence, we need both. You need both your presence and your presence. So, yeah, absolutely. And like and it's funny because people are arguing us down, and then one of Nick Cannon's BMs came out and said, yeah, I gotta admit, he can't be present the way that he wants to be.
We knew that.
Nigga, duh.
Are we shocked? I mean,
it's not rocket science that he can't be in 12 places at one time.
it's just not physically.
It's not
physically
feasible.
possible. It's
Come
not
on,
even
dog.
like y'all all living in a sister wife situation in the same house. Like y'all in different cities,
Dog.
states, you know. What I
And
mean?
that showed he was living in the same house, and the nigga still couldn't do what he needed to do. That nigga was stressed, dog. Every time I see Sister Wives, every episode or trailer, he is stressed. Mm-hmm. They went from living in separate houses, then living in one house, then they wasn't happy, then they lived in separate houses, then they was living on one block, and I'm like, then one of them wanted to leave, and I'm like, dog,
It's
you
not
don't
what they be cracking it out to
You
be.
don't make polygamy look exciting at all.
No, for real.
Not at all. Like, I'm cool with just one, dog. I can't do no
Yeah.
12.
That's crazy.
So
Be careful. Be careful who have your kids with on both sides. Whether it's the childish baby daddy, childish baby mama. You really got to be studious about who you procreate with, because at the end of the day, I do definitely feel like 50 is being very childish about the situation.
oh, for sure.
But-
He's trolling. He's doing. I mean, but that's who he is, though.
Yeah.
That's who he is. But I don't know, man. I couldn't do that to my son.
I couldn't do that to my child. But at the end of the day, I do think that people need to realize that parents are people. At the end of the day, that yes, they are parents, but they are people. They have their flaws, they have their traumas, they have their triggers as well. You know what I mean? And yes, as a parent, you should be the bigger person. You know what I mean when it comes to your children. But your children gonna hurt you. Your children it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen. But you have to repair that.
What did Shannon say? He said, if you always got to be the bigger person, then you're hanging around too many small people.
Well, shit, it come down to how you. It's yours. Them is yours. How you
And we
raise
talking
them.
about in general. I'm talking about in general. I'm not talking about your children. I'm of the belief that I have unconditional love for my children.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that my child could do that would stop me from giving them grace and loving them. But at the same time, you do have to have certain boundaries.
We just watched Dahmer where his dad was to the bitter end. I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
Oh my God.
That's true. But you do got to have boundaries. And if somebody, and the one thing I don't like that Marquise is doing is throwing rocks and then trying to hide his hand.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Saying, "Oh, I didn't know that was Supreme Griffin's son." Nigga, yes you did. Please don't play that. Don't try to act like you innocent in this. Like, you knew exactly what you were doing. You are 50's son.
You trolling too, right?
But you guys are both good at trolling, and
apple don't fall far from the tree.
Nah. I'm not buying that. Speaking of baby moms,
woo!
Oh, Jonathan Majors.
Funny
is that I think most people kind of saw this coming.
Well, that's what people are saying now.
And I'm not trying to I'm being funny, but I'm not there's some serious, there's some truth in this. You can tell when a black man is into white women. They just got this this weird aesthetic and the way they wear, the clothes they wear,
a
you know what I'm saying?
A certain
swag. You can tell.
Russell Wilson. Before Sierra, before she upgraded him, is that the kind of swag you talking about?
Russ is just he's not cultured. So
Right.
I think it's a little bit different. I'm talking about niggas that be wearing them Kango hats to the side.
Honestly, and I'm
them nice shoes that look like those shoes that look like you about to go to the alleys to the bowling alleys. But
bye.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what shoes I'm talking about? Those shoes that got the wings on it or whatever.
I know what you're talking about. The wingtips.
The wingtips. There you go.
I think though, for me, I don't like to stereotype people, but a lot of times when I find out that somebody dates outside their race or whatever, I'm not really shocked.
Well, see,
I'm like, oh, okay, I can see it.
But we don't know if this is habitual. We just know of it one time.
Right.
And then the one thing too, we don't know if this was a one night stand or if this is a relationship because everything's been wiped in.
And you wiped it for a reason. We're gonna get into that.
Okay, so we can give you guys context. So on TikTok, they have just found out that Jonathan Majors He has one daughter. I think she's 7 or 8. So her mother is white. And we talking white. We talking white. Like pumpkin spice, latte, white. Like
You are a fool.
like hair still wet
I'm done.
the damn. You gotta know what I'm talking. Man, come on, man. Look, hold on. Let me give it.
It's not pumpkin spice.
It's
I'm
pumpkin
screaming.
spice. The wet hair, like y'all niggas know what I'm talking
It's
about.
pumpkin spice, leaning Ugg boot with the leggings. I'm weak.
With no damn underwear on. Yeah, that kind of white girl. So, of course, black women were disappointed. As they were with Michael B. Jordan, as they were with Luke Cage, as they were with any pro-black eye candy that gets put on screen. Right? That's what I would call it. Is pro-black eye candy.
Because you based on like the films that you've been in.
Yes.
Not necessarily like what you've professed or whatever, but just the type of roles that you take on.
Yes.
Will give you that pro-black eye candy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they know that black women are the ones that usually dictate culture. And if you can get black women on your side, then usually other people will follow.
Absolutely.
And your supporters are usually the ones that, until you make it mainstream, black women usually will keep you afloat.
Shout out to all the black women that support
sure.
our podcast.
For sure. But we don't do it to pander.
Oh, absolutely not.
We don't do it to pander. Hopefully you guys get that from this podcast, that if we do talk a lot about topics that are geared towards black women, we have a 50% owner that is a black woman.
I mean, I don't understand why that's so. Like, I could see if this was like an all male podcast.
Facts.
But it ain't.
It's not.
So.
Yeah, and I have, I'm close to what issues are relatable to black women because they're black women that are close to me in my life. And again, we talk about black culture on this podcast, and we cannot talk about black culture without talking about black women.
Period.
Okay, so I think we've all said it, that black women are usually the trendsetters of most culture and most fashion and iconic things in nature, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, so they were upset. Not even say upset. They were disappointed. I don't want to say upset. They were disappointed because, again, we have another prominent black actor that, again, was eye candy. That seems like that whenever there is a gentleman like that he gears towards or leans towards dating or procreating with white women. So it kind of caused a little controversy, because it brought up some questions. And one of the questions that we asked in the Reverb Nation, thank you for people that commented in the Nation. I think we're going to read some of the comments in there. The question is, does who someone date and procreates with change how we perceive them or the character they play? And obviously, we're talking about actors, celebrities, entertainers, things of that nature. We're not talking about regular people, but we're talking about people that are in the roles of being able to portray some of these actors on screen. So we had a lot of good comments. I think that we'll read a few just to kind of get what the internet's consensus of was this. So Steph's going to go ahead and read them.
Okay, well, one of them said, actress here, it doesn't change how I perceive them in terms of their talent / artistry or work ethic. Neither does it affect the characters they play. That's why it's called acting, even if the role resonated personally. However, it does affect your brand as an actor. Acting is a business like anything else, and you could be the most talented person, but that doesn't mean people won't have opinions based on how you move in real life. That includes everything from your lifestyle to who you date, procreate with. You can be a bomb-ass actress, but if you're dating Blueface, who everyone knows is trash, has a trash reputation, you just brought your brand and image down. It is what it is. So I thought that was a very good perspective from somebody in the industry. So shout out to Deanna.
Shout out to Deanna. Hold on.
that.
Let's give her a round of applause for that. We're going to give her a round of applause for that, man. That was a good comment.
But at the end of the day, I think we kind of talk about that too with this. Like, you are your brand. I can't come on here talking what I talk or what I believe, and then in my personal life or on my personal page be doing the exact opposite. I'm pretty sure people would be like, oh, you're, pro black women, but this is what you're, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I do agree with that. You are your brand.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree.
On that instance.
So what was an opposing comment for that?
Let's see.
There was a few on there.
Somebody said, you always ask this when it's a black man, but never ask this when it's a black woman. But anyway, to answer the question, no, it doesn't. Now, do we feel like it's uneven when it comes to black actresses dating white men? Like, what black actresses that have been in our movies that are like, you know, we got Viola. She's played in a lot of. Her husband black. Ain't her husband black? Or is he white?
No. Actually, you know what? I don't want to answer that question because I'm not too sure.
I'm gonna Google it.
The one that comes to mind that is most
her husband
recent
is black.
Is Jodie Turner-Smith, who played in Queen and Slim.
Okay, I forgot about her.
And her husband's white. But I remember her getting backlash for that.
I don't remember that.
I do.
Okay.
Because the movie is definitely pro-black.
Absolutely.
The movie is definitely highlighting black love. Mm-hmm. And to find out that she had a white husband was a little bit of a letdown.
Okay, so people were... Okay, I just wanted to know if there's instances where there has been black women in this situation.
There wasn't as much backlash, but I think there's not as much backlash because there's not as many instances of black women marrying out.
As far as black women marrying out that
are in the entertainment, biz. I mean, there was Eve. There's multiple instances of it, but as far as if you were to look on the scale of it, it's more likely that on that level, black men do it more than black women.
Okay.
And there's not too many instances where like a black woman is on screen as a picture of black love. You know what I'm saying? Like for the most part, it's the same actresses, and we respect them, and we don't really look into the love life like that. They're not paraded as eye candy for the black man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. And
I can see if it was like a Foxy Brown. Like a Foxy Brown, because she was like the first like vixen, like eye candy. And if she would have had a white husband, I think that there would definitely be some backlash. Because it's like you in all these black movies, but you have a white husband.
And that's where all your support come from. Another comment from Nye said, depends on the character they're playing. If you're constantly portraying black love on the screen all the time, selling imagery to the black community, you can't be out here not dating black people. That's a strong opinion.
Round of applause for Nye. Shout out Nye. Hey, now I gotta bring Nye on the podcast one day. You gotta bring Nye on the podcast one day.
Come on.
So what do you think?
I think
that was a deep sigh.
deep Negro spiritual sigh. I don't know. I'm on the fence because at the end of the day, like you said, it's acting.
It is acting.
So if you don't believe these things in your real life, you acting them. Yeah. And I mean, that's the job that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I do understand as far as like black people wanting to, I'm not against us gatekeeping a little bit more than we do.
For sure.
You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, and setting firm standards and what we expect from each other. I think that's okay. But I'm not one of those people that's against interracial dating either. So on that side of it, I'm kind of like, date who you date. My thing has always been, it needs to be from a place of love and not from a place of your hatred of either yourself or black women. Because that's a lot of time, that's where it comes from. Like a lot of times the conversation becomes what you don't like about black women and not what you like about the person that you chose.
Yep. I've seen
what sense does that make?
Yeah.
Do you like this person for who they are, or do you like them just because they're not black?
Yeah. I'm definitely okay with black men or black women dating outside the race. But when you do it, don't, like you said, don't put us down to put up your preference. Like it don't gotta be like, oh, I date white women because black women are unsubmissive. You didn't have to even say that. Why did you have to say that? Why are you comparing? Just
that's the part.
If you prefer white women, then okay.
I don't do that self-hate shit. Another comment that went a little bit deeper. Nye also said, listen, you can't be pro-black in a racial equity sense in an interracial relationship. You can be there for black folks, have community, and be in community with black folks, but nah. He's creating generational wealth on the back of blackness that goes into the pockets of a white woman, his baby mama. Those of us in interracial relationships got to be honest about how this plays out equity wise. Love who you love, but don't lie. Don't sell yourself like this pro-black woman nigga and all we see you with is white or damn near white. And I mean this for anyone. That was pretty deep.
Hold on, do I still got this one?
Donation.
No, that's donation.
Donations. Donations.
Wrong with y'all?
Gifts.
You niggas are crazy.
Gifts.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh,
Because
such a loaded question.
Like with reading a lot of the stuff that he says about like, wanting to, show his daughter, real history, black history, not just American history and all those different things. Like, what do you feel as far as like, can somebody be pro-black and date outside their race?
No.
That was quick.
No. Can't be pro-black and date outside your race. You can be for black people, but you can't be pro-black. I think people need to realize not everything is inclusive. There are some things that have a standard. And how can you be pro-black? So to me, loving, marrying, procreating is the highest expression of love because you are creating something that is going to last beyond you. So if you value your blackness, then you are going to want to preserve your blackness. Even though people say, if I have a mixed child, they're still black.
They are.
They could be, but they're still sharing an ethnicity with somebody else. They are not, they can identify as black, but they are biracial by definition. And if you continually keep going down that path, then you are then breeding the blackness out of you. If a biracial,
at some point down the line, your children will become, if not within that first generation, will become more white presenting.
Yes, and lose their blackness. So if you're pro-black,
as far as like phenotypically,
if you are pro-black by definition is doing everything in the best interest of the black community.
Well, to me, I look at it, you put your blackness before everything else. And if you put your blackness before everything else, that would include who you date. I would believe.
Well, because you're trying, let's just be honest, dating outside your race does not preserve the black community.
Damn.
Right? So you doing that by definition is not pro-black. Now, I can understand if you're dating somebody outside your race and then you're bringing those resources back to the black community. That's fine, but that's still not pro-blackness. That's doing what's best. Again, you can be for black people. And I think when people hear you're not pro-black, they think I'm not for black people. That's not what we're saying.
Okay.
That's not what we're saying.
I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying as far as like by definition. No. At the end of the day, like there's a definition for what it is, and it includes all of these things.
Correct.
And if all of those things aren't there, then you're not necessarily labeled pro-black, but again, that does not mean you're not for your people.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong. You can be in a relationship but still be for black people.
Absolutely. You should.
Yeah. And
if you ain't, I'm side-eyeing you like, bro, you don't give a damn about your people.
And there's allies, but this notion of we got to be colorblind and love doesn't see no color, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. And ain't nobody can tell me otherwise. I'm sorry.
Damn, that's deep.
Because how can you? And I'm not saying that you can't love somebody else. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is though, I find it very hard to believe that somebody that, well, you know what? And I think this is where the conversation crosses, because there's a difference between race and culture.
Okay.
You can have a black person that does not share the same culture as you.
Yeah.
And that I think that's where that's where those things kind of cross a little bit. Because when Denzel was talking about, I think it was talking about Fences, and they were asking, why did you pick a black director, black this, black that, and he said it's not more or less the color, it's the culture.
Yes,
he said, because in the morning when you put the hot comb on the hair, like I need
how
somebody
that smells,
that understands
how that sounds.
That.
Somebody, a black person is gonna know that.
Yes. So for me, if you are picking somebody that you love, we always talk about values. We always talking about somebody that understands you without having to overly explain something to you. And there is no way in my mind that a white person can understand Black culture. They can sympathize with it. They can understand it to a certain extent, but you have not experienced it. So there are going to be some things that you are just not going to understand. With a Black woman, I don't have to explain going into a grocery store and being followed and how that made me feel. I don't have to explain being the only Black person in the room at my job and how that makes me feel every day. I don't have to explain code switching. I don't have to explain just how I feel, period. You know what I mean? And I would think maybe at some point you can understand, but off the bat, there's going to be some instances where you're walking on eggshells. And I think this last election, I think people did see that. Like, there's some times where you don't want to have these uncomfortable conversations, but you're going to have these uncomfortable conversations, because if you are going to truly love somebody and be intimate, that means you need to look at, into me means into me you see. Do you see all of me, and do you accept and do you respect and value what it is that I am bringing to the table? And that is a part of your culture.
With you saying that reminded me another one of the comments from Jasmine. She said, it only bothers me if they belittle and disrespect Black women in return. But I personally wouldn't date a Black man who prefers a white woman. He will always compare the two. I have been in this situation, and he constantly would say things like, you aren't like most Black women. Or if I was mad about something, he would say, oh, don't go shakway on me. Needless to say, that didn't last long. This coming from a Black man.
See?
So
shout out to him for comment.
I can see, like, I have never dated outside of my race, but I dated somebody that was more so, dang, for a lack of a better word, like whitewashed.
Or grew up with white culture.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it was like, I felt like I was walking on eggshells. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to act too ghetto. Like, I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, I can imagine
that you can't be yourself.
Right. I didn't feel like I could be all the way be myself. Like, I had to, like, shit, kind of like how you feel like when you first go on a job. Like, and you the only Black person there. It's like, I don't want to rock the boat too much. So it's like, that's weird to me. That was a weird feeling for me, to be in a relationship, getting to know somebody and feeling like I couldn't just be 100% who I was.
Well, and Black, and again, it's culture. Black people do that to our own people. You being too loud.
Yep.
You embarrassing me.
That's what I'm saying. It was somebody that kind of like really was into like I don't know how to put it.
Being unapologetically Black.
Yeah, like if you not, that was hard for me. Like y'all hear me on this podcast. Y'all see me on this podcast. Like, that ain't gonna work for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I have white people in my family that I love, that I can be that. I don't have that problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? But
well, it really just depends on what you prioritize. If you prioritize values over culture, then it can work.
There you go.
If you share the same values, then you have a common ground. Or
absolutely.
If your belief system.
But again, that goes to what you were saying about being pro-Black and being for Black people.
Yes.
That would be, as far as like pro-Black, you're putting your culture, your Blackness first.
Yes.
You talking about putting your values first. Do we have the same values? Do we have things in common? Do we believe the same thing? Do we have the same morals?
Yeah.
So that matters more to a lot of people.
Well, and it could be a situation where it's a 1A, 1B, because pro-Black is your value system. Is shopping Black, like those are things that dictate your actions. So
yeah,
it can become complex, but at the end of the day, I don't think in this conversation, I don't want people to misconstrue what we're trying to say.
So do you believe that being pro-Black is more of an action than just a label of I'm Black and I'm for Black people, and I said, you know what I mean?
I think I really believe that it's a value system because it's what you value.
Okay.
Again, you can't scream I'm pro-Black or I'm pro LGBTQ or I'm pro this and I'm pro that, or like these white people putting Black Lives Matter on their profile picture. I'm like, but what are you doing? If you really believe that, then your belief should result into an action, not just a quote, not just a profile, bio. What are you actually doing?
Okay. I could see both sides for me personally.
I see both sides too. In his case, because I want to bring it back full circle. Do I believe that he can be? What's the question? Does you believe that somebody who dates who Does who someone dates and procreates with change how we perceive them or the characters they play? I believe it can. I just believe that it depends on the role that they're playing. I think there's certain roles that you got to be about that life. You can't be playing Nat Turner and you got a white girlfriend.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You cannot play Marvis Garvey and you procreate with white women. No. No. Because what part of you can relate to that character?
It goes
I
against,
think
yeah.
to me, that's the thing. When you take a role, you're saying, I see myself in this character. If you don't see yourself in the character, then it's not believable. So with Jonathan Majors, like when he played Lovecraft Country, now after reading some of the quotes, it makes sense because, yeah, it's a pro-black role, but his daughter's biracial. And in that movie or not movie, show,
Journey Smollett,
excuse me. You see that there is a struggle, even with her sister. The God, I forgot her name, but when she turned white,
yeah,
you can see that there was a struggle between wanting to be black and wanting to be white. So I can see why. Okay, this was for his daughter to show that it's okay to be who you are, but there's going to be some type of internal struggle based on your proximity to being white.
Yeah, and how you present.
And how you present. Yes. So I understand it a little bit more with a little bit more depth. But I do think it is very disingenuous to present yourself in these roles and scrub her from all of your history and your pictures and try to hide who she is.
I mean, that's kind of what it was giving.
He didn't hide his daughter, but it seemed like there was an intentional effort to hide her, whether that was from his team or whether that was from him. And I can't tell it, and I'm not saying he's a bad dude. I think from what I've seen and what he's presented, I think that he's a very well-rounded, good dude. Like I support him as an actor. He's an incredible actor.
Yeah, I'm still here for him. I don't care.
But I do think that black women are tired of all the representation that's put before them. It's one way on screen and it's a different way behind screen. There's not too many black men that are unapologetically about black women, except for old boy
that got got canceled,
and he almost got canceled for saying that.
Yeah, for saying he only dated black women.
I've never seen somebody get canceled for preferring to date somebody from their own race. That's crazy. But I'm glad that he said it. So yeah, I don't know.
Because this is my thing. If he would have came out and said that he preferred to date outside of his race for whatever reason, people would have been defending him for saying that.
They wanted him to say love is love and I love all people.
Exactly. They would have been defending him for saying I'm okay with dating whoever.
The all lives matter of relationships.
Right. But the fact that he said the opposite is like, why would you say you can't say that? What?
Yeah. Because it's not affirming whiteness. That's really what it boils down to. And again, our approach has gotten so good that black people do that we do it ourselves. Like we check ourselves when we don't affirm whiteness. Next question. Do you think a role an actor plays should reflect their personal values or beliefs? I think we kind of already answered that.
I think you know why I think as an actor, whatever role that you take, I think a lot of times they read these roles and they take it for that reason. Because they resonate with it. Or, you know what I mean? As a good actor, I feel like it would be easier to portray something that you actually believe in. Just like it's hard for me to, get on here and talk about things that I don't necessarily care about. I'd rather, and that's like kind of like what we were saying about how we pick our topics of what we want to talk about and things like that. I'm a black woman. So that's why that's represented on here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I kind of would think that you would automatically do that anyway when choosing what you want to do.
Exactly. Again, I agree. I think that your role, that when you are picking a role that you're acting, that you should see yourself somewhere in that character. And if you can't, then it's not going to be a believable role. Like I want to, you can tell when a role fits somebody because they they've taken it on. Even went to the point where, who was that guy that said that he had to take therapy after the role he was in?
The one that did I know right now, the one that I know most recently is a brother that just played Dahmer. Like he took a break. Like he didn't come back to American Horror Story. Like he said he needed a break from playing all those dark roles. Yeah. So,
and then even I think it was Michael B. Jordan, didn't he?
And Will Smith said that.
For I think when he played Killmonger, I think he said that
he did.
He had to kind of reprogram, like, yeah. So, I mean, and that's a whole nother story for Michael B. Jordan. So he one of those other brothers that was
he redeemed himself.
He kind of did. Yeah. I think it was a PR stunt, but
I think so too. That's why I said he redeemed. I didn't say that he didn't redeem himself with a PR stunt. I said he redeemed himself.
I got you. Yeah,
I said that on the episode where we talked about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. All right. So the last question. Oh no, we ain't gonna ask that question. You had a question. It was. Oh no, I think we already answered the question.
We already answered.
We already answered the question. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, we
gonna leave that one alone.
We gonna leave that one alone. I think that we might have to have a live to maybe ask that question,
because I want more people to be able to tune in on that. Well, you touched on it a little bit, but we could get on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get on to the internet wins again, where we talk about the hottest trending topics that are going on right now on the internet. So I said the last episode, it's just not gonna happen. I said I didn't want to talk about Ye no more, but it's just not. I have to just deal with it. I'm gonna be talking about Ye for a minute. But we're gonna talk about it in a different angle. So last week, Nore from Drink Champs, shout out to Drink Champs for winning their award. Then we gotta give them the flowers for that.
Don't get me started, because I already took my flowers back multiple times. I kept tagging you like, this is who won? This is who won.
So Nore got greedy, and I think what he said is that he wanted to hit the home run, or he wanted to spike the ball. So he got greedy, and he agreed to Ye being on Drink Champs
again.
And this is after the shop decided not to air their episode of Ye because of anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic comments, hate speech, etc. So they didn't air any of it. And Nore thought that he could control Ye. And Nore thought that he would be able to kind of steer the conversation in a specific way. So we're not going to play any of the clips because I don't want to be demonetized. I don't want to be any of that. But basically, a lot of if you guys want to go on the internet and search it, just go and search it. I'm sure you guys have either seen it or heard of the comments. But, hate speech toward Jews, called out Diddy, called out all the people for not helping him with his kids, etc. So it was a really bad interview, and Nore did not check Ye when he was saying some of these bad things that were going on. More specifically, he claimed that George Floyd died from overdosing and not from a homicide. Yeah. So I want to play a real quick clip of Nore apologizing, so that way we can kind of get get some type of context to what Nore was saying. But this is after the episode had actually aired. So let me see if I can find it.
Yes, man. So tired of this dude.
Support freedom of speech. I support anybody, not being censored, but I do not support anybody being hurt. I did not realize that the George Floyd statements on my show was so hurtful. And you got to realize it was the first 5 minutes of the show. Like when he walked in, he told my producer, he said that if he'll stop filming, that he'll walk out. So I didn't want a Birdman moment. I didn't want a Birdman moment with Shaw, where Birdman walked out. So I wanted the man to speak. But later on, I actually checked him about the George Floyd's comments. I actually checked him about the White Lives Matter. But it was so later in the episode, and it was so I was already inebriated at that time that maybe people looked over it. But I apologize to the George Floyd family. I apologize to anybody that was hurt by Kanye West comments. Or I support freedom of speech. I support.
Okay.
I said this when we talked about them winning Best Hip Hop Platform, and people were saying that Carisha not that good of an interview, and I said Nore ain't a good interview either.
Well, we all knew that Nore's not a good interviewer,
and I feel like that's what happened to him right there.
Well,
of having to navigate, especially when you're navigating somebody like Kanye. You have to be a good, you know what I mean? And then, like he said, the context of the show of drinking. So you're not that good of an interviewer, and the whole premise of the show is y'all drinking. It's Drink Champs.
I think that's the bigger issue here. It's all around a bad look.
Mm-hmm.
You're drinking. It's Ye that's unhinged already. He's already been on Fox News, where he actually said the same thing on Fox News. Fox News just didn't air it. They cut it up.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the shop, and the shop said, we're not airing any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought that you would be able to control how this interview was going to go.
Mm-hmm. And you still, my thing
with
is you still aired it.
alcohol, with weed, with whatever else you guys were doing. So that it's going to cloud your judgment.
But you still aired it.
Well, and what's crazy was the promo picture showed them, they looked like they were drunk. So I already knew, I'm like, all right, man, I don't know if this is going to go well. And sure enough, it didn't. And the thing I don't like about Nore, you know, you guys didn't hear the full apology. It honestly didn't sound like he was. It didn't sound like he was sorry for what he did. I think he was sorry. Actually, let me rephrase that. I don't think he's regretful of him being on there. I think he's regretful for how he controlled the interview. And my thing of it is he should have never been on there in the first place. And what he said, oh, I've been in places where people have blackballed me and I didn't have a platform, and Ye was there for me when nobody was there for me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, bruh, it's not about your personal relationship. It's about your platform. Mm-hmm. And you have a responsibility to Revolt TV.
Yeah.
So now you've put Revolt TV in danger of being sued, Diddy in danger of being sued, Candace Owens is now in the picture of being sued because she responded. So it's like, and now you are liable to be sued as well.
Yeah.
You are liable to be sued as well. So it's like, to me, there's usually checks and balances.
Yeah.
And the one thing that he said that we actually championed too, he said, we don't edit nothing. But he said, but after this episode, we will be editing.
Come on.
And I'm like, yeah. If there was an episode for you to edit, this was the one to edit.
That was
my thing of it is did nobody not listen to it before y'all posted it?
That's why I said it still aired. Like you said, other people, it's not that other people ain't had him on. They either didn't air it or they cut out the bullshit.
Or they cut it. And there's a reason for that. So why are you arrogant to the point where you think that it wasn't going to happen on your platform? And then my thing is, at that level, you have a legal team.
Yeah.
That will tell you this is a go, this is not a go. So I ain't gonna say that we don't edit nothing. We've edited one episode.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but
well, we gonna talk about it. We edited one episode because there was derogatory comments. It was misogynistic comments that we did not agree with on our platform.
And that's important to me because at the end of the day, I understand what everybody says about freedom of speech. But what people need to realize is freedom of speech does not come with the freedom from consequences.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, if it's somebody else's platform, they control that platform. It's the same reason why you get on Facebook and you get banned for saying certain things. You get on Twitter and you get banned for saying certain things because that's their platform and they control it. And I feel the same way about our platform. This is my platform. Like, yeah, you could come on here. We're going to do what we're going to do. But at the end of the day, I feel like that is the reason why we are very diligent about picking guests that align with our values, that align with our brand, because at the end of the day, you're not finna just come on here talking crazy.
Well, and even if we have people that disagree or have a different opinion than what we do, then it's a respectful conversation where we are hearing both each other. And we definitely gonna put up the disclaimer that we don't agree with, that this person's thoughts or their thoughts and their own or whatever. But I'm never gonna chase the bag. I'm never going to chase the views. Exactly. And I feel like that's what he was doing.
And my thing is too, like, even with Kanye, I'm not going to take advantage of a person in a moment when I know that they probably got something going on that I'm like, come over here. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that for views.
Yeah.
Like, I think Trevor Noah was the one that spoke out and said something like that, where he was saying, you know, he doesn't have beef with Kanye. He was concerned for Kanye because when you know somebody that has mental health issues and you believe that they're going through something or episode or not, that's not the time to try to capitalize off them. And that's what people are really doing. Like, if I have Kanye on, you're gonna get views because everybody wants to see what he's saying.
And I know Nore does have a personal relationship. I think he really thought that maybe he could like kind of persuade him or kind of get a better perspective on him, but it's like, bruh, he was just on Fox News. No. If you really wanted to help him, you need to have that conversation in private.
Yeah.
Not on front of everybody drinking and trying to get more out of him. You were going to just get more of what he was saying already out of him when he was drinking, which that's what you got.
Yeah. But as the best hip hop platform, you have a responsibility to not only just revolt to yourself, but also to your community,
to the people, for sure,
to the community.
And to me, if we were doing an interview and Kanye came in here and he said, if you stop recording, I'm walking out.
Bye.
Peace. That right there tells me you was about to say some wild shit. You was about to say some wild shit, and as soon as he said that about George Floyd, I would have cut it.
Period.
Or I would have checked him.
Exactly. That's my thing too. Like, I think that's kind of like when I say you ain't gonna come on here talking crazy. You're not gonna come on here and say things unchecked that I'm just gonna let ride because, oh, I want you to be here as a guest. Like, no, I'm gonna challenge that because no, you not.
See, but let me give Nore some bail, because in that episode that we recorded, I think we were so shocked at what was said that we kind of just was like.
And this is why I'm saying he is not a good interviewer, because that was early.
Yeah, that's true.
Now?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I'm ready now. I'm comfortable on like, you know what I mean?
And we kind of did, and I think that we gave that person the opportunity to clean it up. And when he doubled down on it, I was like, oh, damn. I was like, yo, I'm trying to give you out here, dog, and you just doubling down. So, yeah, I would agree with you. I think that we are more equipped to be able to handle those kind of conversations.
Exactly.
I'll check it real quick, like, nah.
And that, to me, that comes factual. With your experience in as an interviewer, as a podcaster.
For sure.
And all of that. And that's why I say he not that good. But
well, yeah, and we have to learn, like, did we not just learn from the news that Alex Jones got, like, I think he got sued for, like, $5 billion for saying that the Sandy Hook thing was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So if he can get sued for saying that, you don't think you can get sued for saying some shit about George Floyd that was not true? Because it wasn't a toxologist. It was it was. He said it.
The medical examiner.
And the man that examined him in the coroner said that he did not die from an overdose, that he died from the knee on the neck. Yes. So, bruh, it's so funny because the right wing always says facts, 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 the truth, the truth, the truth. Okay, there's documents that show that. Now, I will give them this, that he did have fentanyl in his system. But it's funny because they'll say this. They'll say he had a lethal dose of fentanyl in his system. But if you look at the report, it says for an average sized man. George Floyd is 6'7", like I don't know how much you weigh, 280, 250, something like that. He's not an average sized man. So you're changing that and saying, oh, well, he could have died. But again, at the court report, and you guys can look this up, it's all
public
searching
record.
Google, Yahoo, Yahoo, Bing, whatever you want to do.
Do your Googles.
They say that there is no reasonable, that there's nothing that tells them that he would have died from a fentanyl overdose on that day. Nothing. They said he was perfectly healthy, whatever, and that he died from the neck. And he said that his brain started losing oxygen like 4 minutes in. And I think the knee was on his neck for like 10 minutes.
There's video.
And they said any healthy person in that circumstance would have died. So, yeah, what else do you need to see? It's a video.
I'm like, there's video of the whole 10 minutes or whatever.
And Candace Owens, you can ridicule Black Lives Matter, the organization.
Absolutely.
Without defaming George Floyd, the person.
Exactly. Because somebody asked that in the comments. They were saying, so Because I don't know if you said it, somebody said all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and it was like, oh, so all skin folk ain't kinfolk just because she calling out BLM. Like, nah, that ain't the part.
That ain't the part.
That ain't the part that's
No,
making that statement true. The part is you sitting up here defaming this man that is gone with no facts.
For what? And to me, it's like, I think if you talk to most black people, they will agree with you. They don't agree with all of what Black Lives Matter does.
Absolutely.
No.
That ain't even the problem.
And to me, that's not new. That's not new. So you fighting a fight that ain't nobody fighting.
Yeah, you're trying to prove something that
ain't nobody arguing. Like, what are you arguing?
Right there.
Nobody's arguing that Black Lives Matter is the best organization in the world. We saying there's a difference between the organization and the phrase.
Mm-hmm. And the movement.
And the phrase came before the organization. So let's keep it real. Like, don't try to sit here and see, oh, Black Lives Matter. And then let's also be real. Kanye donated to George Floyd's family for his daughter to go to college. So I think it's just nasty.
It's ridiculous.
It's just nasty. And we gonna get into the into Candace Owens in like a little bit. But I want to ask the question: is freedom of speech under attack? That's, I think, because seems like that's what Kanye's gripe is.
I don't think freedom of speech is under attack. I feel like freedom of speech is limited on other people's platforms, and people don't like that. Because you could create a app tomorrow and say what you want to say. You can go outside and host a rally and say what you want to say. You just want to be able to say it on the platforms that you feel like have the most reach, which is what? These podcasts, Twitter, Instagram. You want to use these algorithms to put your message out, and you're mad because you don't have control over them.
Right. So let me read this, because if we want to talk about the freedom of speech conversation, let's have the conversation in full perspective. Okay? Florida lawmakers are advancing a pair of bills that would bar school districts from encouraging classrooms to talk about sexual orientation, gender identity, or what critics are calling "don't say gay" bills. Mm-hmm. Nearly about 12 states have introduced bills that would direct what students can and cannot be taught about the role of slavery in American history and ongoing effects of discrimination, racism in the U.S. today. A Tennessee school board has removed Moss, a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about the Holocaust, from its curriculum. Spotify faced growing controversy over the episodes of Joe Rogan's podcast containing racial slurs and COVID-19 misinformation. And an incoming Georgetown law administrator was assailed by a student group for posting a racist, sexist, and misogynistic tweet that criticized President Joe Biden's announcement that he would nominate a black woman for the Supreme Court. The conversation goes both ways.
It does.
So you cannot say freedom of speech is under attack, but then say critical race theory should not be taught in schools. Mm-hmm. You cannot say freedom of speech is under attack, but then say I don't want my children learning about gender identity. You know what I mean? So same way that if you don't like what's being taught in the public school, that you take your children private, is the same way that you cannot go to a private platform and expect to have freedom of speech without abiding by their laws and what they go by.
And so, you do when you get on there and them terms of agreement,
you
and
have
you
to
click
agree to
them.
that.
Hello, that's their app.
You can talk about whatever you want to talk about in your living room. If you want to go on somebody else's app. So let's break this down, because people, like, even on Facebook, people are like, oh man, they banned me, did this and that. Let's be honest. Facebook or any social media app, in order to be listed on the Play Store, the iTunes Store, or the App Store, whatever they call it, they have terms and conditions. So you have to have a moderating, you have to have a way to be able to moderate your platform in order to even be listed on there. That is why Parler has a moderation team, because before they did not, and they were removed from all the app stores. So yes, you freedom of speech is protected.
Yep.
But you cannot go against a private entity's roles or terms and conditions, because they have sponsors, they have money, they have apps, they have their own requirements. So what would Facebook look like if they allowed all this hate speech to be on there? iTunes or the App Store will be like, nah, I'm not supporting that.
It's the same thing like with YouTube, as far as like, certain videos feeling like they were not able to be monetized, because at the end of the day, when YouTube is selling to have these people advertised on their app on these videos, I don't want my stuff being advertised on
With what you're talking about.
KKK this or whatever. Like, then your brand is being associated. So they had to say, you know what? If this is the type of content you put out, you can't be monetized, because we cannot put ads on there that do not align with the people that's paying for the ad space.
Yeah. People want freedom of speech and freedom of thought without the consequences.
Exactly. Don't come without consequences.
And there's a difference between freedom of speech and misinformation. If you are spreading misinformation and you're trying to champion that as freedom of speech, no, what you're doing is you're inciting. Well, I can say you are inciting. It can lead to inciting violence. Right? How did the? I mean, I don't want to paint this as like this is what caused it, but what added fuel to the fire is, how did the Holocaust happen? Misinformation. And you painting people as these are the reason why you are in the position you are in, and if it would be better off if they were not here, and then that emboldened them to try to commit these crimes towards Jews, right?
And to support these crimes being carried out.
Yeah, same thing with black people. When you have a rhetoric or misinformation that you are 3/5 of a person,
You dehumanize them, and you're spreading like within ads. Like at that time, you know what I'm saying. This is what's really being pushed. And people is really believing it.
Yeah.
So they'll allow you to do whatever you want to do to black people.
Yeah. If you in your mind really believe that we are savages and that we are 3/5 of a person, and that the Bible teaches that, this or this and that, like, you can use whatever you can do to do it. But if you really believe that, then you feel like you are justified in your actions. And that's misinformation.
Exactly.
And if you want to champion that as free speech, I mean, I really don't know what to tell you. Like, what are you really fighting for? What you are fighting for, what you feel for, is ignorance.
Yeah, and you're not saying I want to be able to say what I want to say. You're saying I want to be able to say what I want to say on your platform. That's what you're saying.
With no consequences. But on the flip side of that, I feel like that some of these conversations do need to be had, because there needs to be a healthy dialogue back and forth. Like Andrew Tate. I don't believe that Andrew Tate should have been taken down. Like his misogynistic views and other things. Like I want to, like, in those conversations, I want to understand why does he have a following? What do men identify in what he's talking about? Because some of it, I'm not gonna lie, some of it is identifiable, because like when he's talking about men don't have a voice, I identify with that. I identify with a lot of times men's voices are silent. But when I hear depression is not real, nah, bruh.
You lost me.
But that opens up the conversation for somebody to educate somebody. Because if you see people saying, I agree with it, okay, then have a therapist come on, them explain why they think therapists. And then, to me, the truth, you will always find yourself. If you are really looking for the truth, you will always find it. And I feel like we are scared of sometimes like we almost are going to the extreme where we're trying to censor everybody. It's like, that gets a little dangerous, because if the wrong people, and I think that we talked about this off air, if the wrong people get a hold of the algorithm, or if the wrong people become in power, then they have the power to censor whoever they feel like is not telling the truth. So if the Republicans win this next election, you have to know that the pendulum is going to swing a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Or if Elon Musk buys Twitter, which it looks like that he's on his way to doing that, how is that going to affect the political landscape of Twitter? Because he leans more right. So, like, it can't be, to me, there should be a balance of open, free thought. But when it becomes speech that can create hatred or violence or, you know what I mean? Like, it's a thin line.
I mean, I think that's why I think people talk so much about having their own own platforms
Well, so
and stuff like that. Just because at the end of the day, even though you have your own podcast, it's still on Apple.
It's still on a platform.
It's still, you still promoting it on Twitter. And the algorithm, like you said, the algorithm does not really favor Black content creators. I mean, we all know that the algorithm works against us just on GP.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
especially TikTok.
I really want to ask the question of should, and I think we saw it last election with how much social media impacted how people vote.
Mm-hmm.
Should social media platforms be private? That's a difficult question.
I mean, how do they not be?
Like, should they be ran as public entities, a municipality, or should they be private? Should they be ran by a board? Should they be ran by one person? Should one person have that much power? Because you can alter the algorithm. Like, I think that we talked about it a little bit too. Like, and again, I don't have the facts to back it up, but the claim is that the Chinese government influences our algorithm in TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of power to control what we see, to control what is pushed or what is featured.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have, I don't know how many users are on TikTok, but it has to be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of power.
That is true.
But at the same time, if it's not private, then what would it be? Would it be owned by the government? I definitely don't want them in.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, no matter who owns it, who is the right person hands for it to be in?
Or should it be in anybody's hands? That's what I'm saying. That's a tough question.
I mean, it's the world that we live in now.
But with the internet having more power and more influence, I think it's a question that needs to be answered.
I don't think it really matters who has control over it. At the end of the day, it's going to lean towards what their beliefs are. So it's never going to be a fair playing field, no matter who owns it.
Well, I know, like on Facebook, if you deep dive into the user settings or your profile settings, it actually tells you what you identify as. Like, mine is like left. I'm like, how? Like, well, not how, but I'm assuming that it looks at what you like, what you comment on, what you watch.
But in the beginning of Facebook, that was a part of your profile.
Was it?
I remember that in the beginning of Facebook, it, like, as far as like your bio, you could put if you were left, moderate, like you actually put that information in.
No,
yeah.
Now it picks it for you.
In the beginning, that's what it was.
Based on what you like and stuff. That's just a lot of information. It's just a lot of data. It's a lot of, because, they'll track your, what your websites are, all that. I mean, that like, people were like, oh man, I was just looking at this and why did it show up on my Facebook ad? Because it's in your cookies. It's in your internet history.
Because you searched it on the internet or you were looking at it on Amazon, and then when you get back on Facebook, you're going to see the ad. Because at the end of the day, when you download an app, the first thing it asks is if you want only when I'm using this app or always. Right. And a lot of times people put always, so it's tracking you even when you're not using when the app is not open. The other thing is, when I'm using this app is not necessarily when you're on it. It's when you exit out of the app and it's still running in the background. Until you actually kill that app, it's still running in the background. So you leave out of Facebook, it's still running, and then you're searching other things. Also, like I told you, they ping off of your phone and who you associate with the most. So me and you sit here and do this podcast every 2 weeks. So the things that you're interested in, they're going to assume like, well, maybe some of the things he's interested in, she might be interested in too. So it connects in so many different ways. And everybody believes that the phones is listening. They ain't necessarily listening, but they're tracking.
Well, some of them are. I know Amazon has got caught with the Amazon Echoes or whatever. They've been listening to conversations. They have recorded conversations or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so they gonna get away with whatever it is that they can get away with.
Yeah, that's true.
Until they get caught and then they get fined. But by that time, they've already gotten a lot of the information
that they need.
Yeah. So
we in the information age, and it could be a negative or a positive.
What's crazy is I have this theory, and it's not no crazy conspiracy theory, but I feel like they put before it happens, it's put in the film. It's put into TV shows, movies to desensitize us, and then they roll it out. So if everybody remembers Minority Report, Enemy of the State, movies like that. Enemy of the State came out like early 2000s, maybe late like 90s, where cameras everywhere tracking you. They know where you're at. They can bug you, all this other stuff, right? And then it's kind of like, oh, okay. And like when you watch it, you're like, oh, that would never happen. Eagle Eye, yeah. And then now cameras everywhere, traffic lights, surveillance everywhere. They can find you wherever you want to be. Facial recognition, all that. So it's like, I truly do feel like that in those movies, it is desensitizing you to prepare you for what will happen. So that way it's like you're not shocked by it. It's like, if it's in a movie, like you thinking, oh, well, this technology must already be out there. That's just
I can see it. I mean, I'm not against it.
I just feel like it, man. And all these, I just feel like it's a way. I just feel like TV. I just feel like media, it just in general is a way to desensitize you. So
absolutely,
yeah. So freedom of speech is under attack
in a way.
I think the culture of freedom of speech is. I think people still can say what they want to say, but I think people are now realizing we do live in a country or live in a culture where people sue for everything.
Oh yeah.
So you definitely got to be careful. I know for me, like even on this podcast, I will say allegedly 50 times. You ain't gonna sue me, and I ain't got much for you to sue. But it's getting a little scary. I will say.
See what happened to what's her name, Tasha K.
Oh man,
so
had to move to Africa.
Like you can't just be saying what you can, but there was consequences.
But you got to protect yourself. For sure. Is Candace Owens playing Ye?
Absolutely, she don't give a damn about him. She don't.
I did some digging, and it absolutely looks like that she's playing Ye. So, okay, before we get into that conversation.
Another person whose husband is white.
We said on this podcast that Ye is trying to implode on purpose to get rid of his deals. And after that conversation,
Balenciaga
has severed ties. Adidas has put his contract under review. And I feel like, this is what I feel like. And I'm not saying that he's not sincere about what he's saying. I feel like he's grabbing anything that is offensive and saying it to offend everybody until everybody just severs ties with him until he can take his brand off. But I tell you what I would do though. If I was one of those brands, I ain't severing shit. I would say you're suspended or we ain't putting out anything new, but you ain't gonna be putting out anything new either. And when you do, I'm getting my cut. I would put his feet to the fire and I would play hardball with him. No, I would pull a Diddy. You can be off the label, but if you do any other music, I get paid. That's what I would do. I think it's the easy way out to say, I'm done with you. I'm terminating the contract. Because that's what he want. Like, to me, it's the play. I can see the play from a mile away.
You said it. You said it last episode.
It's too calculated for him to be just, and he's going on a little tour. Drink Champs, Fox.
And that's why he's so mad that people aren't airing it.
Yes. Because,
like, you're not helping me. Same thing like the argument he had with Charlamagne talking about, you ain't gonna help me?
Yeah.
You ain't gonna help me? You supposed to be the culture? It's like, no, you only coming here.
Because
you trying to use me. Like I said, he always using the culture when it's convenient for him. And he's going around trying to use everybody's platform to say inflammatory things to get out of these deals.
To get off the deals. Exactly. Yep. So, speaking of deals, so he bought Parler, which is a far right social media platform that is owned, or the CEO of Parler is Candace Owens' husband. I think it's George Palmer, something like that.
Farmer,
excuse me. So what's interesting in that deal is what he did not buy was the cloud software that comes with it. And guess who owns that still? Candace Owens and George Farmer. So that is the most valuable part of that business. That is the business that will allow you to host other platforms on it. So Kanye only bought just the social media platform. So what's interesting to me is again, he wants freedom of speech. He said that he wants to go on there, but in order for you to have true freedom of speech, you have to get rid of the people that will moderate the conversations. If you do that, then you get taken off of the app store, which then will lose its value. Nobody's going to go on an app that you can't find.
Yeah.
So it's hypocritical. You want freedom of speech, but then you're buying a program, buying a platform to have freedom of speech, but you're not going to have freedom of speech because you're going to have to abide by the same rules that Twitter had, that Facebook had, that Instagram had. So you got banned from Twitter to buy Parler, to go on Parler, to abide by the same rules that Twitter had.
I mean.
And you bought the program, but then you left the most valuable part of the platform to Candace and to George. So you bailed them out. They were losing money. They were failing. The only reason why you bought it was to keep them afloat, and they keep the most profitable part of the business.
A fool.
So it's funny that you say slavery is a choice, and it's funny that you say that I don't want to be controlled, but yet you are repeating the same echo chamber of the people that you are hanging out with, and you are buying up software to help people that could not do it on their own. There's a reason why Parler is failing. Because if you are only going to have right-wing conservatives on that platform, you're going to have users. And if freedom of speech is your calling card to say that, hey, come to this app for that, you can't have that because you have to abide by the rules of the guidelines of the apps stores that you are putting the app in.
So they getting over there and they still being moderated.
Yes.
Basically.
And if you don't want to be moderated, then you won't be in the app stores. And then you're not going to have the users, and then you're going to lose the monetization, and then you're not going to have ad money either.
Because who's paying for ads on an app that's not even in the app store? Nobody. So at the end of the day,
not unless it's your money that you're going to keep funneling into.
So if slavery is a choice, you chose to be in this marriage with Kim Kardashian and have 4 kids. You chose to buy Parler and get into bed. Like, you're getting into bed with all these people, but then you mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you making the same choices, bro. So you choosing these situations that you in. It's crazy to me.
It's weird because I feel like it's calculated, but then when I look deeper into these things, I'm like, but is it calculated?
No. My thing, I think it is. But at the end of the day, another thing you said on the last episode was Kanye thinks he's smarter than what he really is, too, at the same time.
Yes. And I think he's playing with people that are smarter than him.
Not that he's not smart, but...
Because to me, why would you donate $2 million to George Floyd's family, but then turn around and say that he died from fentanyl?
And defame his name. What sense does that make?
But see, I think he's saying that just to piss people off. I don't think he really believes that. So I don't know. It's weird. It's this prideful, I think I'm smarter than everybody, and I'm calculated, but you're getting played by people that are smarter than you. Because you're buying an app that's failing. There's nobody that's going to use Parler. No. Like, who's going to use Parler? Ain't nobody going to go on Parler to see what you posting. All they're going to do is, if anything, people going to repost it on Twitter or whatever. Well, if they can. I don't know.
It's a fool. All of it is a fool.
But Candace Owens is definitely playing him. She's a con artist to the T. That documentary was BS. And... she's the worst type.
The worst.
She is the worst. And it's funny because people pulling up them old clips of her going to the NAACP when she was getting bullied. And it's like, so what happened then?
Oh yeah, they said that she got paid. It was like a racism against her and all that, and she ended up getting a settlement.
Opportunist.
And now all of a sudden, you racism, don't pull yourself by the bullshit. I made it, and I did that. Like, she's talking all that shit. Like, man, make it make sense.
You guys are not oppressed. This is it. Well, then why did you go to the NAACP?
And get a settlement.
Yeah.
Open up a whole lawsuit and got a settlement, but oppression doesn't exist. We're just making it all up.
Niggas is crazy.
Crazy.
All right. I think we answered all the questions. Oh, you know what? Yes, we answered all the questions. I'm done talking about Kanye and I'm done talking about Candace Owens.
I say you stop saying that because every time you say that, we end up having to talk.
I know.
Maybe if you stop saying it, we actually, he'll just go away. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm tired of having the conversation. But if it's for the culture, then we're gonna have to.
We're gonna do it.
And we're gonna have the conversation.
Speaking of the culture.
Yeah, let's come on, man. Let's kind of raise the spirits up in the room, man.
Okay.
Let's raise the spirits in the room, man. Babyface drop, man.
Babyface. Y'all know how I feel about Babyface.
Babyface is the GOAT, man. I don't care
The
what nobody
GOAT.
say.
That's the king of R&B. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about the mother dudes, but it's Babyface for me.
Babyface is the GOAT. So we're gonna talk about Girls Night Out, man. It's Friday. Girls Night Out. Well, it's Monday for y'all. It's Friday for us. Girls Night Out. Girls Night Out. Drop today. I don't know what you want to call it. I guess it's a compilation album with a bunch of different artists.
All female R&B artists.
All female R&B artists. We got Ari Lennox. We got Kalani. We got Ella Mai. We got Queen Naja. We got Coco Jones. Tiana Major. We got Tink. We got Baby Tate. We got Money Long. We got who else? We got Seven Streeter. We got A Marie. I think that's
A-Marie?
I
don't know who
maybe
that
it's
is.
A Marie. A Marie. I think that's probably what it is.
And Doechii.
And TK Mediza.
I don't know who that is.
I've never
either.
heard of that.
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Introducing me to some new
And Doechii,
people.
yeah, which I think is dope. I think it's dope to bring some of these new artists in. 13 tracks. And we're gonna go ahead and get into the review. First listen. So look, y'all be listening to this next week. We first listened to it today. So this is new, like freshly listened to.
I've gone through the tracks a couple different times because, like, for me, like the way that I listen to an album, I listen to the whole thing straight through, and I usually read the lyrics as I'm listening to it. And then for me, the first songs, I always think, what's the first song that I wanted to go back and listen to first?
Right. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think everybody has their own way of listening to new music. For me, I listen to it on my headphones, then I listen to it in the car, and then I listen to it on the Sonos system. I got to get the bass. I got to feel the full effect of it. So, because it hit different.
It do.
It be hitting different, you know what I mean? So that's how I listen. But I enjoyed the album. It's because I'm gonna be honest. The first listen, I was like, I don't think I'm feeling
Yeah, when
this.
you came in, you was like, I don't really like it. I'm like, I'm listening. I'm like, what do you not like?
Because I was listening to it in the headphones and on the car.
See.
When I listened to it in the house, it was different. That's what I'm saying. It hit different. But after listening to it about 2-3 times through, yeah.
What's your favorite tracks? Your top 3 tracks?
So my top 3 tracks are Keep On Falling, featuring Ella Mai. The track with Tink.
Whatever.
And The Recipe.
With Money Long.
Money Long. Those are my top 3. It was hard, though. There was a couple other ones that I really liked.
I keep listening to it because I'm like, I feel like this is one of those albums where my favorite song is going to keep changing. You know what I mean?
So those are the 3 that I like the most. The one that I disliked the most was Seamless featuring Kalani.
And that was a single. And honestly, that didn't make me excited for the album. I was like,
yeah.
I know it's Baby, so I'm going to listen to it anyway, but Seamless was not the one for me. I was like, I don't like this one before it even came out.
They picked the wrong single.
But for me, is Liquor with Ari Lennox because I really like the play on words with the alcohol.
We're not surprised by that.
Why? Because it's Ari?
This is Ari.
No, but I really did like the play on words. You know what I'm saying? I need my nigga 100, not 80 proof. Like, I like the play on words. Like, I like songs.
I think the metaphor of liquor has been overdone. It's a dope track.
I don't know. I like songs like that.
It's been overdone. But okay.
You think so? I liked that one. And then I also liked, it's hard. The last listen, it was Simple with Coco Jones because I really like.
I love Coco Jones.
I love Coco Jones, and I love the content of talking about having trust issues and like I can't identify with it now, but I've been there. And then of course The Recipe because it had the Soon As I Get Home sample, Money Long. That Soon As I Get Home sample hit, and
fire.
That beat hit.
That beat slaps. That beat is fire, and I like that Babyface did not you don't hear him a lot.
Yeah, he on there, but I think he let them be the star of the show, and I like that. But other honorable mentions is of course the track with Tink that slaps.
Oh God.
I like Game Over because that one also had what sample did that one have? That one had another sample that I really liked. And then Say Less with Tiana Major. Because I like that whole, like, say less, I need you to show me some action. Like, I don't know. I like that. I like pretty much all of them except for Seamless. And I didn't like One Good Thing. I didn't like that one.
Who was that? That was
the one featuring A. Murray, whatever her name is. And then I feel like Girls Night Out might have to grow on me.
Yeah, okay. I didn't like Girls Night Out either.
That one might have to grow on. I did like G-Wagon.
But I can see Girls Night Out is more of a club record where it's if girls are out.
I think the next single, though, is going to be that Keeps on Falling, LMA.
It should be.
That's the vibe. That should have been the first
That
single.
should have been the single. Yeah, I would agree. I think that should have been the single. And then...
Game Over was hitting. I didn't listen to that one.
It was good, man.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's gonna be like
if you're
this
into
week,
lyrics,
this my favorite. Next week, this my favorite.
If you're into lyrics and if you're into writing and if you're into wordplay, this is definitely an album. But it had good production. It had a good flow. The one thing I did like at first I didn't catch on, but after I listened to it 2 or 3 more times, in most compilation albums, there's not a flow. That is the one thing I hate about DJ Khaled. It's just it's all over the place. With this record, and that's why I love Babyface because he pays attention to detail. It did flow, and I think that's why I'm not gonna say I didn't like it. I liked the Ari Lennox record, but I felt like that should not have been the first record out the gate. I think that should have been on the second half of the album. But I mean, it's all good.
I mean,
it was
the
still
fact
a
that
good record.
Since you didn't really care for that one out the gate, and then the next song after that is Seamless, like. In that song, I automatically skipped.
See what I'm saying? Like to me, it kind of started off, but I'm not mad at it. I won't skip Ari Lennox's record because it is a good record. I just did not like it out of the gate. I just didn't. I guess what I'm trying to say, I didn't like the sequence of it.
I think with her, she has such a distinct sound. Is that for her to be right out the gate, it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, what's this album finna be?
Well. Yeah, and
for people that's not used to her sound,
and I think maybe I was more or less thinking because when I'm hearing Girls Night Out, I'm thinking more or less like that would have been more of the.
That's
theme.
why it makes sense to have a song talking about like a wordplay on drinking because usually when you go out, you drink.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
So
I be looking too deep in the shit.
No, I do too. But so I can see like maybe that's the record. Like you're getting ready. Like, it's not like, but you know, when you're getting ready, like you want to kind of.
Like you talking about 2 shots at it. Like, I felt like it makes sense. I was called Girls Night Out. You talking about drinking and it's kind of like a wordplay on.
It'll probably grow on me. I just, as a writer, I don't like when things are overdone. And liquor and love has been overdone a lot. But I like how she did it. It was in a different way. It was in a different way. It was a good record. It was a good record. I'm not hating on Ari. I would never hate on Ari.
Oh no.
I love
we wouldn't be sitting at this table if you did.
I love the album. It's a bop for me.
It's definitely a bop for me.
Yes.
This is gonna be on rotation right with that Money Long that I'm still listening to.
That Money Long
is still in
y'all
rotation.
Talking about R&B is dead. The R&B ladies have been delivering.
They've been serving like. What are y'all doing?
They've been delivering, and y'all been sleeping. If anybody keeps saying R&B is dead, they've been tripping. So hopefully, I like where R&B is going.
Yeah,
because around the corner, you got fourth quarter. I'm going to say it now. Diddy is coming.
That's what I'm saying. Diddy made his big claim, so we obviously know he's coming. Babyface done dropped us with a little heater on the low, and. The R&B girls been doing their thing.
We need a new project from Usher. Usher, you need to come out the gate.
And
bro.
Chloe, where you at, Chloe? Come on now, drop the album.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be a banger.
Oh, for sure.
It's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, she's very talented.
I'm ready.
I like it. I like. There's been a lot of good R&B projects this year, and I want to give Faces flowers, man, because I think it's dope that he reached back to the younger generation. And try to bridge the gap. And I think
that what you said that he said, like, I'm not really in tune with the new generation. So I think he did it right. And I think him being involved, like, I feel like it gave it that stamp.
Well, because I've seen people do it wrong.
Yeah.
And the Isley Brothers is a great example of people who did it wrong. that I'll make them, what's the record called? What's the album called?
Which one?
The one that they just came out with.
Oh, I
with
don't.
Rick Ross and Beyonce. I wasn't feeling it at all.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, that wasn't it. I need that Charlemagne clip. Nah, that wasn't it.
Nah.
Still, I love the Ozzy brother, but y'all gotta stay in your lane. I don't want to hear Beyonce on make him say it part 2. And I don't want to hear Ron Isley trying to rap either. Like,
No.
Rick Ross wrote the record, and I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear Ron Isley
It's
as
cringe.
Rick Ross.
It's
It's super cringy.
It's cringy.
No, just some classics. Just don't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who's on it. Just don't touch it.
But we're in that era of remakes and reboots and rebrands and redrops. Like, that's literally like the era that we're in. And I think it's because they want to be able to make it. You can make it for the new generation, but you also can reach back to the millennials, and because we're very nostalgic.
Make me say it again. I'm sorry. That's what it's called.
That's the problem, is like our generation is very nostalgic. So they're trying to play on that as well as cater to the new generation.
No, and if you were going to do something like that, what I would have liked to see is, if you were going to do an album, I want to hear original music from you.
Yeah.
Because your generation is, 3 generations ago.
Most
You're
of
making
them
it, that's
gone.
your audience.
Yeah, they gone.
You're not going to connect with us. And if you were going to connect with us, maybe have other artists sing your records and remake them. I would have been for that.
Mm-hmm.
Having more soulful, like having Ari Lennox maybe sing one of your old soulful records, or having, I can't even think of anybody right now, but just if you were going to connect, maybe doing new renditions of your older records.
Right.
Or do new music. But Beyonce, nah, I ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
No, I ain't trying to hear that. But yeah, great record for y'all. Go check it out, man.
Check it out.
And this is an album that you can listen with your girl. There's not too many albums that you can like thoroughly enjoy with your girl in the car or just chilling. I liked it a lot, and I think it'll continually grow on me. So great job.
Real quick, my question: how do you feel about Chris Brown dropping that visual to what was it? Influence, no influence. What's that song he got?
Yeah,
Like 4 years later.
I'm not mad at it.
Okay, because the song's taking off again.
Because you know why? A lot of dance groups. So my 16-year-old is in dance. Like she dances. That song. I've never seen so many dances made up to that song.
Yeah, and it went viral, and so
yeah,
that one girl that did the. Yeah.
I'm not. If it's still rocking, do it. I don't know why there wasn't a video for it from the start.
I think that's what everybody was saying about when they were saying he needed to drop a popping video.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. You know what? But Chris Brown has so much music. I forget when he released it.
Yeah, because you be thinking like, oh, this new.
Yeah,
And
like
it'd be like so many songs on the albums that it's like, I forgot about this one or whatever.
yeah, and I think he makes up for not having iconic albums with having iconic songs.
Absolutely. Because I feel like every single album he's had has at least one.
Yes, like Heat. I still play Heat to this day.
Yes. That was and shit. To me, Privacy. I feel like
Privacy. I still play
don't get enough
Privacy to
love.
this day.
And New Flame.
Flame.
That beat. As soon as that beat dropped.
See, and it's like, dog, I just forget what songs came out on what albums, because this album be like 45 songs long. I'm like, damn, nigga, like I can't remember what was on this album. But when you go back and listen, you're like, oh, damn. Like,
I mean, when you was talking about love songs about liquor, the first thing is something in his liquor.
Yes.
That song came to mind instantly.
That's what I'm saying. So
Anyways, I just was wondering what you thought about that.
I'm not mad at it.
Shout out to Chris Brown.
I mean, it's his song, dude.
I wish more people would do that.
Yeah. Like if a song becomes popular, go back and give what the fans want. Like, do a video.
Why not?
Yeah. So, and then for him, he's looking at it from a different standpoint because he owns his masters.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So why? Yeah, I'm gonna go back and redo all my catalog. Like, why not?
Everybody was surprised that he had his what's it called? The main girl, the main dancer was like darker skin, bald, like she had a fade.
Because he's been listening.
He that's why I said, okay, Chris Brown listening.
Or his people have been listening. So, yeah, no, he's Chris Brown is Chris Brown is doing his thing. Chris Brown is doing his thing.
We say do better. And if you're doing better, I'm gonna give you your
Now,
props.
I will say this though. So I think Usher brought out Chris Brown at his last show, right?
And told him that he was
and he was I don't know if he said he was a king or he was a GOAT, whatever it was.
he
Give him
did.
the flowers. I pray, please, I hope that paves the way for a versus.
I hope so.
Because that's what versus was for, is to celebrate each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I pray, please, Chris and Usher, please give us that before I die. Please.
That would be so dope.
Because the Diddy and Jermaine Dupri versus is coming. But again, like we said before, somebody is postponing it because they're doing new music.
But if Chris and we talk about R&B is whatever, if Chris and Usher do a versus, I feel like that's what R&B need.
That's gonna shut down the game.
That's what R&B need. That
R&B needs that. R&B needs that.
because I feel like the most iconic R&B verses that we had was what, Brandy and Monica.
That's definitely one of them.
I'm trying to think who else. R&B.
Nah, because the 112 Jagged Edge one wasn't good because that was at the beginning when they had the internet connection.
Yeah, and all the
different.
audio issues. Other than when they was doing the
Omarion and
producer,
Mario for the wrong reasons.
and before when they was doing the producer ones, I mean that was early. I feel like that was because a lot of their songs.
Neo and Jonta Austin was a classic. Neo,
Yeah.
people need to head back and listen to that one.
But I feel like as far as a big,
No, you're right. I would say
That
Brandy
would
and
be the
Monica.
one.
Brandy and Monica. Yeah.
but I feel like Chris and Usher would be even bigger.
Christian Usher would be the epitome of verses. If they can pull that off, that would probably be the most watched verses ever.
Ever. Because I feel like that is 2 generations, like, because Usher's still relevant now, you know what I mean?
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's
for sure.
reaching back. And
For
then
sure.
you got Chris is definitely the new era R&B.
For sure.
So that's crazy. That would be crazy.
That would be, I would, that would be dope. Hopefully, again, that they end up doing that and do it for the culture.
Yes.
Well, on that kind of verses, I'm not even going to even be paying attention to who's winning and who's not. I'm just going to enjoy myself.
I already got my winner. It's always going to be Usher for me,
Yeah,
preference-wise. But at the end of the day, you can't lie and say that both of their catalogs don't go crazy.
both catalogs go crazy. So
It really, that's one of those ones where it's like, there's no wrong answer. If you believe it's Usher for whatever reason, you right.
Well,
If you believe it's Chris for whatever reason, you right too.
it's with whoever you identify with.
Exactly.
It's with whoever you identify with. So, I'm praying. I'm praying that we get that verses, man. Because I think we've been talking about this verses for like 3 years.
On the for the who should have won best hip hop platform, in my humble opinion, that would be definitely the best verses. I feel like verses should have won. I still feel like that.
Well, but yeah, and I don't think you're wrong for that opinion. I just think for 2022, they haven't had any iconic verses.
Mm-hmm.
They've had the double team with the Ray J and I mean, it's been funny, but it's like all of their good verses were during the pandemic. So
They need that.
So they should have a retroactive award for that, for sure.
Exactly. I'm like, they still deserve their flowers to this day.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because those got us through some hard times, man.
Mm-hmm.
Those got us through some hard times, man. That Teddy Riley and Babyface.
Oh, Babyface drug him.
Oh man, they tried to do that versus for
Now,
a week.
now I'll take that back as far as iconic R&B ones. I forgot about that
But the
one.
problem is that they tried to do it like 4 separate times,
Yeah. That,
and then at one point we just lost interest.
but it was good.
And Babyface was so fed up. It was good.
It was good.
It was good, but Babyface was like, "Y'all, look, we done tried this too many times." Like
Babyface.
Babyface
drug him. I'm sorry. I don't
he
care what
did.
nobody say.
He did. But yeah. All right, y'all. But we gonna let y'all go, man. Happy Monday or happy Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your work week. Hopefully the 2-hour podcast that we just did, hope you get through your day. We just want to give you guys some encouragement because there's some people going through some hard times right now as far as anxiety, depression, suicide. I know, just hopefully this gives you guys some light, something to kind of take your mind off of it. But we would love to hear from you. Comment on Facebook. I'm banned right now, so I can't comment back.
Well, talk to me.
Hit me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. But we would really appreciate it if you guys can help us get to 1,000 subscribers.
And if you want to join into the conversation, like we read comments here live, we will be asking questions in the Reverb Nation.
Yes.
To include y'all thoughts on the podcast. So make sure y'all join the Facebook group too.
Absolutely. And at the very minimum, if you can leave a review and let us know how you like the podcast or the platform, go to reverbexp.com and you can leave a review there, or you can go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review there if you have an iPhone, iPad, or MacBook. So we good. We out. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all listening all the way through. And we see y'all next week. We are going to have a special guest next show, a black creator that has a series that we wanted to highlight. So we'll see y'all on the flip side.
We out.